In engineering physics, we are discussing crystallography. And in crystallography, last class we have seen how to calculate the interplanar spacing using Bragg's law. To study the structure of a crystal, normally X-ray diffraction techniques are being used. There are two different methods generally followed in determining the structure of a crystal. One is called law method, the other one is called powdered method. Now in this session we shall try to understand each one of the methods in detail, discuss about the merits and demerits of it. In that, one such method is law method. As told, this is one of the X-ray diffraction techniques for crystal structure studies. Now if you see the experimental arrangement of this, it is like this. The crystal whose structure is to be studied is held stationary like this. The X-rays are made to fall on two lead diaphragms kept parallel to each other like a slit, which is called pinhole. So through the pinhole, the X-rays will be passing through and falling on the crystal. Having fallen on the crystal, they get diffracted into different diffracted beams, and the images are being observed on a photographic plate kept parallel to the crystal. And on the photographic plate, you see number of spots which are called law spots because they were named after the scientist. That means the crystal whose structure has to be studied is held stationary in a continuous X-ray beam, and after passing through the pinholes of lead diaphragms, we obtain a fine beam of X-rays like this. These X-rays are allowed to fall on the crystal. The crystal planes in the crystal diffract these X-rays, satisfying Bragg's law. So the diffracted X-rays are allowed to fall on a photographic plate. The diffraction pattern, if you observe, it consists of series of bright spots corresponding to interference maximum for a set of crystal planes satisfying Bragg's equation, that is 2d sine theta equal to L lambda for a particular wavelength of the incident beam. Now if you analyze the image that is being formed as spots on the lead on the photographic plate, the image we are going to get is like this, appears like this. This is the law photograph for a simple cubic crystal. The image that is falling on this photograph plate, when elaborated or magnified, looks like this. So the distribution of spots depend on the symmetry of the crystal and its orientation with respect to the X-ray beam. So for a simple cubic crystal, the photograph looks like this. This is how we get the crystal structure image inside, with center spot appearing like this. So if you analyze the entire process, the crystal whose structure has to be studied is held stationary in a continuous X-ray beam. After passing through the pinholes of the lead diaphragms, we obtain a fine beam of X-ray. These X-rays are allowed to fall on the crystal. The crystal planes in the crystal diffract these X-rays, satisfying Bragg's law. So the diffracted X-rays are allowed to fall on the photographic plate. The diffraction pattern consists of series of bright spots corresponding to interference maximum for a set of crystal planes, satisfying the Bragg equation what we studied as 2d sine theta is equal to L lambda for a particular wavelength of the incident beam. So the distribution of spots depend on the symmetry of the crystal and its orientation with respect to the X-ray beam. So the symmetry looks like this. Now if you look at the merits and demerits of this system, law method is very much useful and it is used for the determination of crystal orientation and symmetry. It is also used to study the crystalline imperfections. That is what we are going to discuss later. Imperfections means defects. So law method is, though that is useful in that manner, but it has got its own disadvantages or demerits. This law method is not convenient for actual crystal structure determination because several wavelengths of X-rays diffract in different order from the same plane and they superimpose on a single law spot like this. So you can't distinguish clearly the actual structure of a crystal. This is one of the drawbacks of this method. So when you analyze the advantages or disadvantages of this, I told that this law method is used for determination of crystal orientation and symmetry. It is also used to study the crystalline imperfections, which are called defects. Fine. But there is a biggest disadvantage. You see this image, you are only getting one spot. This method is not therefore convenient for actual crystal structure determination because several wavelengths of X-rays diffract in different orders from the same plane and they all superimpose on a single law spot. So that is one of the most disadvantages available in this method. Hence, another method has been introduced as an X-ray diffraction, what is known as powder method. Let us see what this method is all about. This powder method is yet another method of X-ray diffraction technique which is generally used to study the structure of tiny crystallites which is called microcrystals. Microcrystals are nothing but very small crystallites, more or less in the form of an amorphous stage, that is like a powder. So microcrystals in the form of a powder are what are termed as tiny crystallites. So the powder method therefore is an X-ray diffraction technique used to study the structure of tiny crystallites or otherwise known as microcrystals in the form of a powder. Now this method gives information regarding both the size and orientations of the crystallites in powder form. This powder method is also known as Debye-Scherrer method. Now here an interesting thing can be understood. The crystal whose structure is to be studied is crushed into a form of a powder. Now the powder is prepared by crushing the polycrystalline material so that it consists of very smallest pieces of crystals, tiny crystals in the form of almost a powder. That means it contains crystallites. So the powdered form is also therefore known as crystallites. That means the crystal whose structure is to be studied is prepared into a form of a powder by crushing the polycrystalline materials so that it becomes a powdered form. That is nothing but crystallites, what we call. Now these crystallites are all randomly oriented. Therefore, they make all possible angles with the incident X-rays. Therefore, because of that reason, we can get all orders of reflections from all possible atomic planes and they are reordered at the same time. I am just recapping for your benefit. The crystal whose structure is to be studied in the form of powdered X-ray diffraction, the powder is prepared by crushing the polycrystalline material so that it consists of crystallites. That means the structure is studied in the powder form now. Once you make it a powder form, naturally they are all oriented in different directions. That means they make all possible angles with the incident X-rays. Because of that reason, we can get different orders, all types of orders of reflections from all possible atomic planes are all reordered at the same time. This is the advantage of this system. Now let us see the experimental setup for the powdered form. Now this is the schematic representation of the experimental setup for powdered method. If you see the contents here, X-ray is being used as a source, and there is something called filter. The purpose of these filters is basically to get a single wavelength. That means by using this filter, the incident X-rays can be made into a monochromatic X-rays. That means single wavelength, and they are passing through something like a slit or a pinhole arranged here, which is made of lead diaphragms. Between the lead diaphragms, this monochromatic wavelength is allowed to pass through. And after passing through, these rays are allowed to enter into a cylindrical camera. This is a cylindrical camera. Now here if you observe, the crystallites or powdered form is kept in a tube, kept in the form of a powder and held like this at an angle, and it rotates. This cylindrical camera will have a film inside. Okay, so the X-rays that are incidenting are filtered and become a monochromatic X-ray beam, and that is allowed to pass through the lead diaphragm pinholes and being made to fall on the entry hole here, and then of course at the end it comes through exit hole. The entire setup is kept in a cylindrical camera that is being consisting film also. So the crystal whose structure is to be studied, that is made into a powder form or tiny crystallites, is poured here and it is rotated. So that helps all possible angles for all the planes because they are randomly oriented. Okay, this is the angle of diffraction, 2 theta on either side, like a conical process it proceeds. So let us analyze this further. I am recapping. This particular experimental arrangement consists of a cylindrical camera. It is called the Debye-Scherrer camera. It consists of a film in the inner portion. The finely powdered sample is filled in a thin capillary tube made of non-diffracting material. In that the powder is kept. The incident X-rays, after passing through the filter and pinholes of the lead diaphragms, produce a fine beam of monochromatic X-rays. The fine beam, after passing through the entry hole here, at the entrance of the camera, after passing through the entry hole, falls on the capillary tube P. P is the capillary tube here. It contains the powdered form of crystals. Because the powder consists of randomly oriented crystallites, all possible theta and d values, that is the glancing angle as well as the interplanar spacing values, all values of theta, all values of d are available for diffraction of incident X-rays. The diffraction takes place for these values of d and theta that satisfy the Bragg's relation. What is Bragg's relation? 2d sin theta equal to n lambda, where lambda is constant for a monochromatic X-rays. For a particular value of angle of incidence theta, various orientations of particular set of planes are possible. So the diffracted rays corresponding to a fixed value of theta and interplanar spacing d lie on the surface of a cone with its apex at the tube P and the semi-vertical angle 2 theta. So different cones are observed for different sets of d and theta for a particular order of n, and also for different combinations of theta and n for a particular value of d. So let me quickly recap the entire process that is happening in powdered technique or powdered method of X-ray diffraction. This is the experimental arrangement. This experimental arrangement consists of a cylindrical camera. This camera is called Debye-Scherrer camera. It consists of a film in the inner portion. The powder form, that means the crystal whose structure is to be studied, as I told you, is made into a powdered form. So the finely powdered sample is filled in a thin capillary tube made of non-diffracting material. That is what is P here. So the incident X-rays, after passing through the filter, they become monochromatic. Na? So after passing the printer through the filter and then through the pinholes of the lead diaphragm, produce a fine beam of monochromatic X-rays. So this fine beam of monochromatic X-rays, after passing through the entry hole here, falls on the capillary tube P, in which the powdered form of crystals is available. And because the powder consists of randomly oriented crystallites, all possible angles, that is theta, and all possible interplanar spacing d, this theta and d values are available for different diffraction of incident X-rays. So therefore the diffraction takes place for these values of d and theta that satisfy the Bragg's relation, that satisfy the Bragg's condition. What is the Bragg's condition? 2d sin theta equal to n lambda, where lambda is of course constant for a monochromatic X-ray. So for a particular value of angle of incidence theta, various orientations of particular set of planes are possible. The diffracted rays corresponding to a fixed value of theta and interplanar spacing d both lie on the surface of a cone like this, with its apex at the tube P and semi-vertical angle 2 theta. So different cones are observed for different sets of d and theta for a particular order of n, and also for different combinations of theta and n for a particular value of d. So these transmitted X-rays, they naturally come out with the exit hole. So the transmitted X-rays come out through the exit hole. The diffracted X-ray cones naturally will make some impressions on the film in the form of arcs on either side of the exit and entry holes, with their centers coinciding with the hole. After getting diffracted, I am just recapping, after getting diffracted, the transmitted X-rays come out through the exit hole. Here I told you that there is inside some film is kept. So the diffracted X-ray cones, they naturally will make some impressions on the film. The impressions will be in the form of arcs on either side of the exit. So from this side and this side also you find some arcs as impressions and entry holes with their centers coinciding with the hole. So how the image of this powder diffraction looks like is this one. I mean, once the X-rays are diffracted in the cone, the transmission of X-rays come out through the exit hole. So the diffracted X-rays, as I told you, the diffracted X-ray cones, they make impressions on the film in the form of arcs. These are arcs on either side of the exit and entry holes, both sides, with their centers coinciding with the hole. The diffraction pattern therefore looks like this. So this is the image we are getting in a powder diffraction. Now we will try to interpret this diffraction pattern and calculate the interplanar spacing like this. So from the just now seen film where you find arcs, take any pair of arcs, any particular pair of arcs. So you take the angle corresponding to that particular pair of arcs, and that is related, the pair of arcs you are taking. As I told you, just now we have seen, we got the film, in the film, arcs like this now. Like that arcs we got. You take any pair of arcs from the film and also take the angle theta corresponding to a particular pair of these arcs and relate it to the distance s. S is the distance inside the cone. More or less it's a distance. So between the distance and the angle theta, you can get an equation which says in terms of radiations 4 theta equal to s by r. What is r here? R is the radius of camera. Okay? Because angle equal to arc by radius. Angle equal to arc by radius. So from that formula, in terms of radiations, we can relate the angle of the corresponding pair of arcs as 4 theta equal to S by R in the case of radians. If you convert that radians into degrees, the same thing 4 theta in degrees becomes S by R into 180 by pi in terms of degrees. So when you simplify S by R into 180 by pi, it comes to around 57.296 by R into S. That is 180 by pi R is equal to 57.296 by R. Okay, we can substitute the value of radius of the camera here and the distance measured. So we can get the theta, glancing angle theta. So from this expression, we can get theta. Theta can be calculated. Once theta is calculated, then we can calculate the interplanar spacing for n equal to 1. That is the first order. D value is equal to lambda by 2 sine theta. Because it is coming from the 2d sine theta equal to n lambda. Na? 2d sine theta is equal to n lambda. For n equal to n, that is the first order, you can calculate interplanar spacing. So this is what basically you can find interplanar spacing process, interplanar spacing value through powdered method. The advantage of this method is, as already seen, we are using filter, therefore monochromatic X-ray is coming, and because you are taking a powdered form of crystals, all are randomly oriented, therefore all crystallets are exposed to X-rays and diffraction takes place with all available planes. So with all the parameters known, crystal structure can be studied completely. That is the advantage of this method. So if you summarize in today's session we tried to understand the two different X-ray diffraction techniques that are generally applied to study the structure of a given crystal. One method is what is known as law method, where the crystal whose structure is to be studied is kept stationary and exposed to a continuous X-ray beam, where the beam, after passing through the pinholes of lead diaphragms, it is allowed to fall on the crystal. Thereby crystal planes in the crystal diffract the X-rays, satisfying the Bragg's law. And then the diffracted X-rays are allowed to fall on a photographic plate. The diffraction pattern naturally consists of series of bright spots corresponding to interference maximum for a set of crystal planes satisfying the Bragg's equation 2d sin theta is equal to L lambda for a particular wavelength of incident beam, wherein we have seen the law photograph for simple cubic crystal where the distribution of spots depend on the symmetry of the crystal and its orientation with respect to X-ray beam. As far as demerits and merits are concerned, law method is useful for the determination of crystal orientation and symmetry, which is also used to study the crystalline imperfections which are called defects. But we also understood that law method is useless or is not convenient for actual crystal structure determination because several wavelengths of X-rays diffract in different orders from the same plane and they superimpose on a single law spot. In that angle, law method is most inconvenient. Therefore, we try to understand yet another method, what is known as powdered method, where an X-ray diffraction technique is used to study the structure of microcrystals, which are known as tiny crystals in the form of a powder. Because this method gives information regarding the size and orientations of the crystallites in powdered form. And I also told you that this method is also known as Debye-Scherrer method, wherein when you see the experimental method, the X-rays are filtered so that monochromatic X-ray beam can be available, and that is made to pass through lead diaphragm pinholes, and the X-rays fine beam of a monochromatic X-ray beam passing through lead diaphragm pinholes is allowed to fall on the crystallines which are taken in the form of a powder in a capillary tube, and wherein it is entering through entry hole and falling on it, and it is whole apparatus is kept in a Debye-Scherrer camera attached with a film, wherein due to rotation cones are formed, and diffraction angle can be or glancing angle can be calculated, and the transmitted X-rays are allowed to come through the exit hole. The diffracted X-ray naturally cones make impressions on the film in the form of arcs on either side of the exit and entry holes also with their centers coinciding with the hole. So the diffraction pattern help us to calculate the angle corresponding to the particular pair of arcs, and it is related to the distance s between the arcs as 4 theta equal to s by r in terms of radiations, because angle equal to arc by radius, same where r is the radius of the camera, and same thing when it is expressed in the form of degrees, 4 theta will become s by r into 180 by pi. When simplified, I told you it comes to around 57.296 by r into s. So from that expression we can calculate the glancing angle theta. Based on theta value, the interplanar spacing for first order for n equal to 1, diffraction interplanar spacing can be calculated using the equation d equal to lambda by 2 sine theta, and that equation has come simply because of Bragg's law. Bragg's law tells us 2d sine theta is equal to L lambda. 2d sine for n equal to 1, 2d sine theta is equal to lambda. Therefore, d equal to lambda by 2 sine theta. So, by knowing the value of theta and lambda, we can calculate d value, that is the interplanar spacing value. So, by knowing all the parameters, crystal structure can be easily studied. That is the advantage of this system. And in merits, we have seen that in powdered form of X-ray diffraction, we are using a filter that helps us to get monochromatic X-ray. That means lambda is always remaining constant. And another advantage is because you are taking in the form of a powder or otherwise known as crystallites, all the crystallites are exposed to X-rays, and therefore diffraction takes place with all available planes. And at the end we said that by knowing all the parameters, the crystal structure can be studied completely, unlike law method. That is what we need to know about powdered method.